Triple E EDC back again with another knife video. This is the Kansept Knives EDC TAC. This is designed by Mikkel Willumsen. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but I've seen his name all over. He is a very well-known designer, and Kansept is doing the right thing here in bringing in a couple designers who are well-known in order to grow their brand, because they're a newer knife brand. For those of you who don't know, Kansept Knives was started by a couple people, I think, who broke off from Kaiser, and they took a couple people from Kaiser with them, and they started their own knife company. So the quality level is at least on par with Kaiser, if not better. So that's a good thing to know. Now let's go ahead and look at this thing. First, we got to thank Ben. Ben, thank you for donating to this to the channel so that I could review it and then give it away. Really appreciate you doing that. And this has already been given away as part of another giveaway. But anyway, this is a prototype, so this is not the final version of this knife, and this knife is not out yet. So, you know, take what I'm going to say here with the caveats that this is not the final version and things are going to be changed. And I'm going to tell you some of the changes that are going to be happening, because they've already determined some of the changes that are going to be happening. So first of all, let's go ahead and do some size comparisons here. This is the Benchmade Griptilian, and this is the Benchmade Super Freak. As you can see, this is smaller than both of those. This is Spyderco Para 2 and the Para 3. So it's about a similar size to the Para 3. The blade's a little bit longer, the handle's about the same size, is basically how it breaks down with the Para 3. And one last one, the Benchmade 940. A lot of people are familiar with that. It's a little bit smaller than that one. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about this knife. So first of all, this is going to come in a couple different iterations. One of the iterations is going to have a blue, anodized blue titanium with the carbon fiber here, and there's another version that's going to be just like this with carbon fiber and raw titanium. There's going to be versions, I think, of both that are going to be stainless steel Damascus, and there's versions of both that are going to be CPM 150, or I'm sorry, 154 CM is what it's going to be. So you're going to have 154 CM versions and stainless Damascus versions. I don't know what type of stainless steel is in the stainless Damascus, but they say on their website stainless layered Damascus. So given the level of quality they have in most of their knives, I assume it's going to be, you know, some decent steels in there. So let's go ahead and talk about the construction on this. You have, whoops, knocked the camera there. You have marble carbon fiber here, which is pretty nice. And even on the prototype, you don't really see much in the way of voids, so that's really good. The titanium here is nice as well, nice material, nice milled pocket clip here. It carries decent. It's a little bit, you know, out of the pocket and everything, but that's okay. It's not too much. The lanyard hole in it is out of the way, which I do appreciate. It doesn't bother the clip at all, so the clip's in a good spot for that. And the Damascus on here is nice to look at. Now, I can't tell if this Damascus here is laser etched because of the fact that it's a prototype, or if that's actual Damascus. That's hard to tell on this particular version of it, but again, it's a prototype. So this is a push button, a flipper. So again, here's the flipper action, here's the push button. So you can see the action on this is quite good. It's completely drop shot. The detent on here is pretty good once it locks in. It is a little bit light, but it's pretty good overall. But again, it's light enough that you can misfire, so just be aware of that. You can flick this out with just the button. It does flick out that way. It is not so easy to do as is, but they are going to make some improvements that's going to help that. And so let's go ahead and talk about what improvements they're going to make on this, and then we'll talk about what I don't like about it. So the improvements they're going to make on it are three things. So number one, they're getting rid of the thumb stud. The thumb stud doesn't do anything because, well, it's tucked away in here. You cannot get to it. There's absolutely no way to get to this thumb stud. and their feedback led them to decide to cancel out the thumb stud completely. So I do appreciate the fact that they recognize that there really wasn't a purpose for that. So that's good. And the next thing that they're going to do is they're going to mill around the button here. So the milling around the button will solve that issue of, you know, it not being so easy to do this. Well, it'll be much easier once this is milled out because the button will be easily accessible. They had a couple options for milling it out where they were gonna, you know, cut the whole thing out to the side. I don't know which one they settled on because I know online they had people voting on it. They are actually pretty active on their Facebook page with getting input from people on their designs. If you're curious, the Facebook page is called Kansept Knives page, Carry Your Concepts Out. So if you want to join that page, and sometimes they also will do lotteries for these prototypes, so check that out as well. The last thing that they're going to be doing on here is grinding the edge of the handle to make the handle more contoured. So I don't know whether that's going to be, you know, the edge here, both, but they're going to overall make the handle more contoured because it is extremely blocky, which is one of the criticisms I was going to have for the knife, but it seems like they're taking care of that. Now, I'll go ahead and talk about what I don't like about this knife. So what I don't like about this knife is a couple things. Number one, this thing is really thick. If you look at, well, let's look at the Benchmade 940, right? The 940 is not a thin knife, but it is much thinner than this. I'm not talking about the pocket clip. I'm talking about the actual knife itself. So the reason this thing is so thick is because it has full liners here, full stainless steel liners. It's got titanium on both sides, titanium handles on both sides on top of that, and then it's got a pretty thick back spacer here. So all of that combines to be, you know, quite thick, and you definitely feel that in hand, especially relative to the blade, because the blade itself is not so thick. It actually reminds me a lot of the thickness problem that this knife has, which is the WE Knives Double Helix. So this could have had a profile similar to the 940, but this is also a very thick knife. Again, just like this, it's about as thick as this one. So if you have any experience with the WE Double Helix, that is going to tell you a little bit about how thick this knife is. So hopefully the contouring will knock that down quite a bit. The next thing is I don't quite get what they're doing with the hardware on here, because you've got black hardware here, you've got a silver button here, you've got blue hardware here. I don't like all of the mixed hardware. I hope they improve that on the final one, and I hope they got some feedback on that as well. Next is the fact that the marble carbon fiber here is not flush, it is raised. I don't know if that was intentional or just, you know, they're not as careful about it on a prototype, but I do hope they fix that on the final version. So that's another criticism I have here. The blade to handle ratio I don't love on this. As you can see, the blade here, you know, the blade is about this long, right? So there's a good bit of space in between the end of here and the blade, and then another good bit of space between the end of here and here. So this handle is a lot bigger than the actual blade is, and so it ends up being sort of a small blade overall for the amount of handle you have. The ergonomics on this are okay. They're about I would say a 5 out of 10. They're nothing to write home about, nothing too much to complain about. There is this on the end. I don't know if that's an actual glass breaker or not. I wouldn't think that it is because it appears to be part of a titanium back spacer, but who knows, it could be. But I don't really see the purpose of this on this knife. I don't think it adds to it aesthetically, and if it is a glass breaker, I don't think that this is a tactical knife, so don't know why they're doing that. So that's another, I guess, criticism that I would have for the knife. Other than that, let me see if I can draw this out here. I think they did mill out, yeah, they did mill out the stainless steel liners, so at least there's that. I think it looks like there could be some additional milling in here, especially with what they have. What I would like to see them do on the final version, if they're able to, honestly, is just get rid of the stainless steel liners. There's I don't see a reason on this knife that they need the stainless steel liners. It just causes them to thicken the knife. I guess the big reason is they're trying to, they need something for the carbon fiber to screw into, now that I'm looking at it. So, you know what I'd rather see them do is do a cutout and an inlay on a titanium frame just to get this thing a little bit thinner. But I don't know if that'll impact their final costs. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this knife. The other thing, just because it's a concept knife, I forgot to point this out, or a prototype, I should say. This says BDC TAC on it. Obviously, that's an error. This is going to be EDC TAC, at least according to their website. That's what it's going to be called. It is what it is. Anyway, it's an interesting knife. Would I recommend it or buy it? It's not my style, so the answer is no. But it is very interesting. I'm glad I got a chance to check it out. It's always nice to get a chance to check out, knives that I wouldn't necessarily buy for myself. And but I can't say that it's like I said, the design's not for me, so I'm not necessarily going to recommend it. But it's overall Kansept, I think, as a company is coming along, and if you see a design you like from Kansept, I wouldn't hesitate at all to buy from them, because they seem to have very, very good materials and very good fit and finish for the most part. So thank you guys very much for watching. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit the notification bell, and the subscribe button, and go ahead and drop a comment. Let me know what you think of this knife and what you think of Kansept in general. Thanks so much.